Grace and peace, everybody. Grace and peace, Leo here. What's going on, everybody? Just wanted to check in, do a little test, look at some of the research that I've been going through. This will definitely be cleaned up a lot more later. But grace and peace, everybody, as y'all come in, if any come in today. Try and do this a little bit more frequent. Late nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights, spooky hours. So let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to add them to the comments. I may see them, may not, but I'll try to get to them. As some may know, I do a lot of research into many subjects, but I have a passion for a lot of the spooky, occult, and occult conspiracy theories, as well as like parapsychology, religious studies, UFOlogy, cryptozoology, a lot of those things in which within the Christian Protestant frame worldview I look into and have an interest in. What's going on, Sister Davis? I just wanted to check in with you. About to review a few things and look into a few things as y'all come in. But yeah, sorry about that, y'all. But as y'all see, like, this is a quick video, a little live. I'm gonna try to do it again more frequently. Sister David, just walk with me. Some of the research I've done. But like I see, if you see in the title, Spooky Hours, Freemasonry, and Steve Coakley. Working on a video right now of some of the research I've been doing, looking into Freemasonry over the last few years, as well as looking into the brother, world renowned, very conspiratorial. I know he's not a Christian, but a lot of things he does cover or did cover, as he is not with us anymore, did touch on Freemasonry, the Boule, a lot of conspiracies around the Illuminati, and a few other different subjects that I think are interesting, specifically in the time that we're in. I do want to cover and kind of review. So if you guys want to walk with me, feel free. I do have a few things to cover, but you can just walk with me. These are some of my raw research methods, and you kind of see how I think, and this is kind of why I want to do this. So you kind of walk with my line of reasoning. Pardon me for that. But one of the things I think I would like to show you all is at least some of my research. So this right here is some of the lore that I've kind of walked through, looking into Freemasonry. Hopefully my computer doesn't. Let me see. Maybe it'll work a little bit better on this. There we go. So these are some of the groups that I've been reviewing and looking into. Sorry, it's going a little slow. But I'm sure you guys have seen some of these type of garb and apparel investments. Everybody's seen those with Farrakhan and different groups here. We'll go into those sometime soon. But what I wanted to show is just some of the images of what many know and associate with Freemasonry in terms of the garb. I know we got Shaq here with the rumored him being a Freemason. You got the ring right here as well. But just walking through some of these like images, as you see even in my backdrop of the two paths. And, you got the brother Delano Ellis, known Freemason as well. But again, we're not going to get into much of these, but just kind of showing some of the research that I came across and never knew of. Appreciate that, Sister Davis. Never knew of these things. Nelson Mandela as well has been a part of the Knights of Malta. That's a part of the, I believe, still on the, not on the York Rite, but that's the Scottish Rite, I believe. Higher Freemason there. And then also, if you wanted to look into a few other things, I think this is the Grand Chapter, the Grand Lodge in, I think it's London, England. Very large establishment, but like here, I'm based in Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area. In the Metro Detroit area, we have the largest, and this is news to me, Freemason lodge in the world, larger than the Grand Lodge here in London, England. That's based here in Detroit. Many didn't know that. I didn't know that for a number of years, but it's called the Masonic Temple downtown. But just looking into it, I've always had an interest in what the Freemasons were, being very conspiratorial, but in terms of what I've liked and looked into. But yeah, it's actually, I was wrong. The Knights of Malta are on the York Rite, not the Scottish Rite side. So I apologize for that. But some of the things I'm going to look into today, some of these images you've seen right here, we're going to build into, we'll talk and watch a couple, at least one video today on a brother Steve Coakley. Again, like I said earlier, I'm working on a video to look into a lot of things Steve Coakley said earlier. Though he is not a Christian, we will kind of review it as Christians and look into the concepts he's brought out within the conspiracy space, that a lot of those things that were commented by himself in the 90s and early 2000s are coming out. Many see it in the Epstein's files, and many see it in other ways and areas. It does get touched on. I question, what does the checkerboard floor mean? That's a good question. So I know a lot of people talk about the duality in terms of the white and the black. One thing I would like to get into that's a great question, but I know a lot of the duality in nature in terms of the white and the black and what that represents. I would love to get to that. And I'm glad you even asked that, Sister Davis. That's a note to even show in my presentation. I will get to a lot of the symbols. And that's kind of why I'm showing these images, because as like many would see, a lot of these images we've seen either in like movies, in media, in conspiracy videos and things like that. Like my initial understanding of the checkerboard floor was the duality in nature of the light and the darkness. That's what I was thinking that it meant and understood. But sometimes that's not necessarily always true in terms of how the Freemasons see them. So as an outsider, that's what was my initial thought of the duality, in which one, can you see the two pillars, the light and the dark? You have the left-hand path and right-hand path. The white and the black represent a duality. So that's kind of what I thought. But as you see, still the checkerboard floors throughout, the different pillars, the images with all-seeing eye, all these things are allegorical in context, but we may not know that. But initially, like for myself, I thought this was demonic, demons. Like, I'm not saying that there's no other means and allegory around these things, but we should look into them a little bit more than just what we've been taught and review some sources. And that's kind of what I want to do today. So this is a book that actually is out there for free. If you guys want it, let me know. I'm trying to work on a Discord account, and let me know if you guys would like to see this. If you can see the slides, again, you're seeing my raw study habits of how I like to read a lot of books and kind of highlight, because I have a lot of PDFs that I get for a lot of these books that I read. I don't really like handheld books, just physical, just because it doesn't capture my attention, and I like to kind of draw back on purposes of not just showing a book in hand, but I can actually show you the content within the book. Sometimes it doesn't copy and paste the best, but you can see the books as well as what I'm reading, and you can see some of the things I highlight as I read. So you see some of the things, like in this book called An Introduction to Masonic Symbolism. This comes from the Scottish Rite, and this book actually I got from Facebook. Doing research into Freemasonry and what the algorithm kind of sends you. I got this ad from the Scottish Rite Masonic Lodge, and it sent this book to look into the symbols of Masonry. So I just thought it would be interesting. So like here, it talks about the square and the compass. So this is more formalized, as we're not initiated into Freemasonry. And this is one of the things that it brings up. And like, again, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. I think that's one thing I did think about, is like, why do these things come up in this way? Of why do I have these ideas of what a Freemason is and never really looked into it? I just assumed based on, like I said, we're talking about Steve Coakley a little bit later. I never looked into what Steve Coakley was talking about outside of what he was giving us, based on movies I've seen, based on conspiracy videos I've seen, based on what other Christians have told me. I watched a lot of videos, G. Craig Lewis and other things, and I never truly looked into the claims about Freemasonry. And this initiative, at least in the research and the books I've read, this started me on my journey. So right here, you'll see here, it's talking about the square and the compass. The square and the compass is arguably the most recognizable symbol of Freemasonry. derived from the working tools of stonemason guilds of the Middle Ages. The square and compasses is a metaphor for how the teachings of Freemasonry build better men. So that's what it's saying. The square and the compass represents building of better men. This is from the Scottish Rite, free source that they give away if you sign up for their e-newsletter on various social media platforms. Again, I got this from an ad on social media from the Scottish Rite page. The square and compass abiding. The square promotes abiding by the craft's core values. As Masons, we square our actions by the square of virtue with all mankind. So all mankind is, their actions are harmonized, it appears. This is how I'm seeing it. You can come in the comments and see if y'all agree with what I'm reading. And circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bounds. The square and compasses is synonymous with Freemasonry, as many know, used to mark all things messianic. Well, not messianic, Masonic. Sorry about that. So everything that is within the square, within Freemasonry, is encompassed with the square and compass. There is no doubt that the square and compass stands for the traditions and values of Masonry that have remained unchanged over time. So these things have been at the foundation of Freemasonry and haven't been changed. This is what the Scottish Rite is saying. It truly is a symbol that unites the fraternity all over the globe and shares a promise of justice. Now, here's the key things they say it represents: justice, truth, and brotherhood. So the square and compass, based on the Scottish Rite free source that you can get, represents justice, truth, and brotherhood. All right, let's keep going. The Masonic letter G, and this is crazy, and I'll show you guys now. You can see I'm actually reading this book right here. This is this is how I get a lot of my books. It's called the Masonic letter G. I'm actually reading this today. It's crazy that this book is actually, like, I'm going through these slides with you all, and this is a book I'm reading today from the author Paul Foster Case. He is a Freemason and an occultist. And he goes through the Kabbalistic connections between Freemasonry as well as the origins of Freemasonry being steeped in Kabbalah and other things as well, and what the meaning of the letter G that we see in the middle of the square in the compass, what does that represent? And he goes through the history. And I got a lot of that in the slides too, but I just thought it was interesting because I was reading that today. The Masonic letter G, nestled within the square and compass, is the Messianic letter G. In Freemasonry, this letter holds many meanings. The first is geometry. So this is what they're saying. The first letter or the first meaning is geometry, which is critical to craft of the work of working Masons, from whom modern Freemasonry is derived. So they're saying the first of geometry. Hold on one second. Just want to make sure my sound is good. Appreciate that. The first is geometry, which is critical to the craft of working Masons, from whom modern masonry is derived. The Messianic G also can stand for God. Now, that's what they're saying. It can stand for God and geometry. So that's two meanings right there. We have geometry and God. But you know there's a lot of allegorical meanings and double meanings, duality within Freemasonry. As I just said, that was just my initial understanding, but as you see here, that may be consistent. As you see, first, geometry is mentioned. Now, God is mentioned. This is just from the Scottish Rite's perspective. We haven't looked into the York Rite yet. Meaning God, the grand architect of the universe. Also, look into this step. This is actually pretty interesting, I thought at least, of the universe. A core requirement to becoming a Mason is professing the belief in a supreme being. Oh, you're not fulfilled any of this? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this is why I kind of want to look into it a little bit. And this is a free source that I got that they're kind of moving into, and a lot of the symbolism that you may see in, some say see it in commercials and movies and many different aspects in the media, that some say that Freemasons are behind and controlling. So that's why they kind of talk to these things. But yeah, I'm glad, Sister Dave, we can walk through it. And I said, that's why I'm kind of here, being I have an interest in it. Not becoming a Mason. I am not a Mason, have never been taking any oaths or any of that, but just had an interest in it because of the conspiratorial nature that surrounded them in myth and lore. So I've been looking into it. And for those that have an interest in this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here. You can email me. Just message me anywhere you can. Comment section. Feel free. I'll look into it and we can talk about it. A core requirement of becoming a Mason is professing the belief in a supreme being. Say it again. In a supreme being. Not the Christian deity, which is Yahweh, which I believe in, is the supreme being. Also for all other beliefs, Buddhism, Islam, with Allah, all the different beings, as long as you believe in a supreme being. That's what this document is saying. And the immortality of the soul. So for those that hold to like annihilationism, you would have an issue with joining the Freemasons. Annihilationism speaks to the soul being burnt alive or annihilated at death, from my best understanding. In this way, persons of different faiths may join together in prayer, concentrating on God as they choose. So whatever you choose, as long as you do it, you're fine. Also, another one, this is another key thing, of God as they choose, rather than differences among different religions. Other brotherhood welcomes men of all religions, again, all religions and backgrounds, which is why we refer. Yes, A means more than one. Yes, agreed. So you can have multiple views and multiple supreme beings within Freemasonry, and they don't talk about, from my understanding, they don't talk about your different beliefs. As long as you believe in a supreme being or a God, which is a part of your initiation, you will be in. That is a key piece. Our brotherhood welcomes men of all religions and backgrounds, which is why we refer to the architect of the universe in the sanctity of the lodge room. So when you go to the lodge room, you'll see you have different books on the altars there. You have you have the Bible there. Some say you have the Quran based on where you go. And within the lodge room, it is different than what we will say in the usual, I would say, room. And we got some images of that as well. The double-headed eagle. So you may see that in a lot of images, and even within American history, you'll see the double-headed eagle. And you can kind of see it in this picture from the book on the back where it says Messianic symbols. You see the double-headed eagle. And a lot of reasons why I'm going through this too. There's another book that follows this called Symbolism of Freemasonry. May not get into that today, but I want to just share a little bit, just because we're going to watch a video from Steve Coakley as I do research into him and his connections that he brought out about Freemasonry long ago in the 90s, how that is playing a role in a lot of the news we see today with Jeffrey Epstein files, all the different things were coming out around secret societies and things like that. Now, let's look into it, and I'm going to have a fully formed documented video. Oh, it's very secretive, for sure. But I think that's a part of it because it is a secret society, so to speak, or a brotherhood that takes initiation in. But the double-headed eagle you see is being brought out here within the Scottish Rite. That is a key symbol that we'll talk about right here, serving as our fraternity emblem. Since our inception in 1813, the double-headed eagle is one of the most recognizable motifs in 32-degree Scottish Rite Freemasonry. However, the origins of the double-headed eagle will likely predates our brotherhood. Some of the theorists argue that the symbol was found as far back as ancient Mesopotamia. It was during this time that various polysuperlius, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, multi-headed beast represented either villains or heroes in ancient legends and mythologies. It was also used by East Roman and Byzantine Empire. Byzantine Empire is often seen like the east side of the Roman Empire. Successor to the Roman Empire, there you go, which adopted Rome's eagle, adding a second head to the original one-headed symbol to express the secular and spiritual power of the Emperor of Byzantium, which is the Eastern Empire, and claim rule of the East and West. As Scottish Rite Freemasons, we display our pride in the fraternity by wearing messianic symbols. The double-headed eagle emblem is displayed by fellow brothers on rings. You'll see a lot of people with the double-headed eagle rings, jewelry, clothing, and caps. The most basic design for the Scottish Rite emblem shows the eagle's wings pointed downward. However, in some designs, the wings are sometimes pointed upward, which reflects a Scottish Rite Mason's status. So I guess when the downward wings are pointed down, it represents something specific that they don't go into detail here. But when the wings are pointing upward, it represents a Mason's status. In the Northern Messianic jurisdiction, the wings up design is reserved for 33rd degree active members, of which there are approximately 50. That's what they're saying. 50 active 33-degree members. I guess this is worldwide. That's what I'm assuming here. And active emirates, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, members of the Supreme Council. Otherwise, a brother may only wear the double-head eagle with its wings pointed down. So just for a notice, if this is what they're pushing, if we see any videos or content of a winged double eagle and the wings are pointed down, based on what they're saying, they're a Scottish Rite member, but they are not a 33rd degree member. But if the wings are pointing upward, they would then be, based on the symbolism, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. The Messianic apron. A lot of people see that with George Washington, the famous picture of the apron. I showed a couple of pictures a little bit earlier in the slides of some 33rd degree Masons, but having the apron. The Messianic apron is one of the greatest symbols of Messianic tradition in history. Masonic, sorry, I keep saying Messianic, that's my fault. Masonic aprons originated from stonemasons who wore leather aprons to protect themselves while working. When Freemasonry was founded, aprons were adopted to symbolize the labor of Freemasons in building our spiritual temples. So they're talking about spiritual temples now. As the workmen, as masons, stonemasons, when people talk about the stonemason, understanding the lure with a mason is and where the terminology comes from, they are building spiritual temples. But as Christians, we know we are the temple, our bodies are. But they're saying they are building spiritual temples. And we'll go into detail what the spiritual temples represent, how that look. We're connected to Hiram Abiff and who the lure around the Freemasons and King Solomon and other lives and videos later. This is more of an intro of some of the research I'm looking into. A lambskin apron is a candidate's first gift in Freemasonry, which is symbolic of the purity and innocence innocent men are expected to pursue in the life as a Freemason. Now, if you saw earlier, I went through it pretty quickly, but Shaquille O'Neal, supposedly, based on the image, has the blank white, maybe lambskin apron that is blank, and I guess they're speaking to their purity and innocence being as pure white. A Mason will wear this lambskin apron only twice. Once when entering the craft as an apprentice, and again at the end of life's pilgrimage. It is reverently placed on his mortal remains and buried with his body in the grave. So I'm guessing this is interesting here. And if you guys hear this, and again at the end of his life, in the end of life's pilgrimage. Now I'm a little confused. Now, is this speaking to the death of the Mason, or just the journey in which they reach the highest pinnacle within Freemasonry? Does this happen? That they will have this apron placed on their bodies. A Mason dons different aprons containing specific symbols and colors according to rank, with centuries of history and Masonic legacy behind each apron. Messianic aprons carry tremendous significance within the craft and among individual Masons, serving as a reminder of philosophical foundations and antiquities of Freemasonry, as well as the Masonic career of individual members. So you see the growth, I guess, when they add more decorations to those aprons. They are growing in their personal career, as well as their foundational philosophy and things like that. I think we got one more after this. The Eye of Providence. That's to the all-seeing eye. So a lot of people talk about the Illuminati, the all-seeing eye of God. A symbolic reminder of our devotion to the foundation, the fundamental tenets of Freemasonry. Brotherly love. Sorry about that. It's moving a little slow. This is the next slide, but I was still reading the other one. My computer's moving a little slow. Let me see. Actually, that might be a good place to stop. Let me see. Here it is. Let's read this last one, and we can move on from the next to the video. Because from what I'm knowing, like, again, I haven't seen this video, but from my understanding of what the video entails, Steve Coakley, very, like I said, conspiracy theorist, but known urban intelligence researcher that put a lot of information around the Boule and Freemasons. He's going to go to, I believe, a location and review a lot of the messianic images that are on site. It's a video just found on YouTube. Y'all can look into it, and you'll be able to see the video title, and you want to watch it as well. But here, I just want to finish this by the Eye of Providence. I'm speaking to the all-seeing eye many people talk about. A symbolic reminder of the devotion to the fundamental tenets of Freemasonry, brotherly love, relief, and truth. The Eye of Providence was originally popularized by artists and scholars during the Renaissance before it was adopted by Freemasons. So this is what they're saying. It was originally popularized by artists and scholars during the Renaissance. So you will see some people say Christians. You will see other artists utilizing the all-seeing eye and images, speaking to God and divinity before the Masons had them. And it was adopted by Masons to then represent, as we'll see, brotherly love, relief, truth, and that's what their understanding is. It is frequently found in religious paintings, often depicted with the eye surrounded by rays of light contained within a triangle representing the divine Holy Trinity. So when we see the triangle pyramid, as I was thinking, this is the all-seeing eye capstone. But when you see the pyramid, and you got the capstone on the back of the dollar, you see the all-seeing eye with the pyramid, and there's a space between there. They are saying that Scottish Rite Freemasons, actually, the rays of light coming from the eye and contained within a triangle represent the Holy Trinity. So as a Christian, I'm like, okay, this must be God, Yahweh. When we turn to Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Historians have dated one of the earliest messianic appearances of the eye as far back as the 17th century. For the intellectuals and artists of this era, the Eye of Providence reflected the intellectual curiosity of the time and was a reminder to think critically and remain mindful of a higher entity. Now you see, consistent with what we've seen before, you can just believe in a supreme being and just any religion. Here, this I can just be a mindful reminder of a higher entity. Doesn't matter what belief system, because it's not a part of their framework as a brotherhood. It's not about what you believe. Is that you do believe. We don't need to know the specifics. As long as you do believe in a God, you're fine. But like for me, that's where like the trouble comes in. It's like, okay, they may not see it as a problem, but even in our churches, we would love to like understand what people are believing as believers. But the issue too, like that's not a part of it, similar to like a job. You don't necessarily have to tell them you believe in God. And you don't have to go around telling everyone you believe in God. People should know you are a Christian, but it's not a prerequisite to be seen as a Christian. Here, you don't have to parade that you are a Christian, or at least how this appears from just reading this introduction to Messianic symbols. Again, we got way more deeper stuff that's looking into Freemasonry than this. But it just appears you just need to believe in a God. And even the symbols represent an entity. Let's continue. Over the next century, the eye became a prominent Messianic symbol. Yes, Dave, this is different. And I'm be honest, I was very surprised myself. And you're reading this with me, but I said I haven't looked into this in a minute, but I wanted to just give an introduction to this stuff. In the next slide, we go into this. It'll be more rooted in a larger, more condensed book called The Symbolism of Freemasonry. Yes, Dave, I'm right there with you. Over the next century, the I am a sign of the time. I definitely agree. But then that's another thing too, is as we look into this more, you see these images in a lot of commercials, movies, and such, in which they showcase someone's eye is isolated. And a lot of people connect it to the Illuminati of being illuminated, and that's what the eye means. But then they connect it when you see it connected to the Freemasons, utilizing that same eye, they would say, okay, they must either be in the Illuminati or a Freemason, and their understanding of what the eye represents may be something they heard, but it may not come specifically from a source that the Freemasons have approved or have said, like the illumination and things like that. As you see here, they say if you see the eye around in a triangle, it represents the Holy Trinity. So if someone is a Mason, they're throwing up the triangle. Is it possible that they're representing the Holy Trinity? That's what I'm saying. It's a little confusing. But that's why I want to do research into this more. And like, okay, I may have my presuppositions as a Christian in what a Freemason is. Let's look into it a little bit more. And that's what I'm doing here. Thomas Webb brought the Eye of Providence to the United States Freemasonry when he included it in his 1797 book, The Freemason's Monitor. This work was hugely influential in the development of Masonic rituals across the country. For Freemasons, the meaning behind the Eye of Providence remains similar to the early days of speculative Masonry. So the early days of Masonry becoming speculative in terms of what they're reviewing and looking into about Masonry. It's a symbol of the great architect, what we just talked about earlier, about the supreme grand architect watching over us. Remember, the great architect, from what I'm understanding, can be any deity, supreme deity. It's just one, or does it mean that? As we look into, and I showed you the book I read earlier and some other ones that speak to details about what the great architect can be and represent. Watching over us, reminding Masons that we must continue to live up to the standards and ideals of our brotherhood and uphold our tenets of brotherly love, relief, and truth in all things. All right. Let's end that for now here. Now, moving on to what I want to cover a little bit earlier. I talked about, if you see in the comment, the title, the name of this video is Spooky Hours, just a play on the time frame in which we're in. And we'll do a lot of these lives at night because I got a lot of kids. I want to give my wife and make sure all the kids are down before I go in and start doing lives. Let's see, Sister Davis, how can they believe in the God when it says it's okay to have a gods? Well, that's a great point. I think one of the things I kind of spoke to a little earlier was in the initiation phase, just from what we just read here. As long as, if you can be a Christian and you believe in Yahweh, and I know Christians that are a part of Freemasonry, they would accept you because you believe in God, period. Because a lot of things in Masonry, from what I understand, have roots in Scripture or in the Bible. Not saying necessarily they are rooted in the Bible, but a lot of the concepts around it, like the beings, as well as the identities, like Solomon is mentioned. You'll see Moses utilized, even Nimrod mentioned. A lot of these characters are people that existed within Scripture and in the world in history, actually are used within Freemasonry. So as a Christian, you would think it's perfectly fine because they're talking about Solomon, Moses, all these beings are in, and people that are in the Scriptures. All right, we got a Freemason here. Okay, cool. And because of that, we are looking into it. So that a lot of people say, okay, it's perfectly fine. So with that, going deeper into the understanding and reviewing these things, this shouldn't be an issue as long as you believe in God. That is a prerequisite from my understanding. And the discussions around what God you believe in may not be had because it does not, it may cause more division within the brotherhood talking about what God you believe in and if it's truly the real God or the true God. Rather just focus on having a God. It seems to be the main prerequisite, at least around a deity. Hopefully that answers your question. But again, this is the video. If you want to see it here, it says Steve Coakley, Boston Masonic Tour. So this is at, I think, in 2016. But this is way back because remember, many people know Steve Coakley has passed on. And if you've seen his face or heard his voice, you will see it. Discernment. Oh, I agree. Discernment is definitely needed. I'm with you, Sister Davis, all day. It shook me up reading a lot of this. And again, that's just the first one. That, like, there's so many books. At least I've started to read. I haven't finished all. Just still doing my baseline understanding of it. It's so much information. There's so many books that have been written about Freemasonry, kind of maneuvering between what is true, what isn't. That's why I want to look into this video because I thought it'd be interesting. Just talking about some of the symbols. Again, I haven't watched this video, so bear with me if the language is a little foul and things like that. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but just look into a few things of this. No, I'm not a Mason at all. I'm a Christian that's just looking into Freemasonry. I've done a decent amount of research into it. That's why I'm just covering a few things. Just looking into it. There's a lot of lure and conspiracies around the Freemasons, so I want to do my own research. I always had an interest in what they represented and what they taught. I just don't feel the need to become one. I don't believe I should become one and don't want to become one. Just from the initial research I've done, and that's kind of why I'm looking into it. Just to know if what I'm saying is true, based in truth, and reliable in what I'm saying to certain people as well. So that's pretty much it. But let's see if y'all can hear this video. Let me know. Tell me if you can hear it.
Our humane societies are
Now the sound may not be the loudest. Are you 32? Okay, cool. All right, cool. Blue eyes. Okay, nice. You're a 32nd degree Mason? Interesting. Oh, blue eyes. Okay, maybe we could talk to you a little bit sometimes. If you want, message me on Facebook or make a comment on here. I can reach out to you and talk about something sometime. Get some questions.
now sowing the seed of our harvest, which will one of these days protect not only the birds of the air and the beasts of the field, T. Angel. That's George T. Angel. And RA says it's a tribute to humanity.
Now, again, I told you I haven't watched this all the way through. I know Steve Coakley does have some foul language, so if it is some, I apologize in advance. If there is too much, I'll cut it off and I'll watch it again before, and I'll do a better job with this. But I want to watch it with y'all and get a live reaction.
You can do the animals, you can certainly do the people. Actually, this is the beginning of our tour, our city tour, looking for Shriners and Masonic insignias in search of the beast. That's right, in search of the beast. Some of which are Shriners, some of which are Masons, etc. Some of which have left markers to articulate or to identify their presence or their control. So,
now, he mentioned Shriners. That is another secret society. They wear a lot of fezzes. I actually had a picture a little bit earlier with the Shriners. But some of the comments he's making, take a mental note, and I'm trying to jump in every so often, just some of the catchphrases that he's brought out. Like the Shriners, that's somebody we need to look into a little bit more. What do the Shriners believe? What are they talking about? How are they different from traditional Freemasons? Scottish Rite, York Rite, how are they different? What do they represent? What are their beliefs? Are there Christians a part of the Shriners? What do they think about what the Shriners represent? With the fezzes, some people connected to Morocco and some of the Muslims and the Moors that wear the fezzes. So that's an interesting intersection there with the Muslim imagery and Nation of Islam with some of the Shriners. I think the image has, the star and the moon, the crescent moon. That is seen on some of the fezzes too, and their logo. That's something to look into. But let's keep going.
Now we're at Angel Square. Now, let's sit over here and see who George T. Angel is. In memory of George Thorndike Angel.
Okay, Sister Davis, you know them? Okay. All right, y'all gonna see how my brain works. Shriners are in a pendant body of masonry. Okay, an appendant body of masonry. So we have to look into like the subsidiary, similar to like the Eastern Stars, and I forgot a few other groups. Okay, let's do this. So the way my brain works, if I see names that I don't know, I try to look them up. So George Thorndike Angel. So George Thorndike. All right, hey, let's see. Who is this guy? George Thorndike Angel. Okay. Just doing a quick wiki search on. I don't know who this is. Was an American lawyer, philanthropist, and activist. He advocated for animal welfare, founding and serving as president of Massachusetts Society of Prevention and Cruelty. From Billing on the Corners. Okay. Thank you, Sister Davis. He also championed public health reform and opposed food alteration. Was born in Massachusetts. So this is where, Steve Coakley is actually in Massachusetts. All right, let's see what the brother says. And in other words, you have to be a third degree Mason, so Master Mason. Okay, got you. To petition for Shriners. Got you. So you got to be out of the entry. You have to come out and become a Master Mason. You can't be in the first. Can't be a first degree Mason and become a Shriner. Got you. So you got to come out. You have to truly become a Master Mason. Got you. And look, they got the same picture here from where Steve Coakley was at. So this is in downtown financial district of Boston, Massachusetts. So we're going to see a lot of these names and bring them up and see who these people are. And like these people are in a lot of these cities that we live in. And one of the goals too is with Spooky Apologetics as a Christian, we're gonna I'm gonna try to reach out to a brother I know. He did a tour before here in Detroit. I would like to go around Detroit, eventually take a tour to the Masonic Temple there, ask a question, maybe do an interview with those tour guides or what have you at the Messianic Lodge here in Detroit, but also do a tour of the local street names that we have and kind of where they come from, who are the people that are associated and the rumors around some of the Masons associated with it. And this is just the one subject around the conspiracy theories dealing with the Masonry that this channel covers. Many other subjects that we'll touch on. But let's get back to the video.
1823 to 1909.
Now, I don't see the bird, but if you remember what we said earlier, I know many people say it's not a religion. Yes, I've seen that. I have my reservations. I've seen many say it's not a religion. I've read at least 5 to 6 different works. There's a book called The Brother Who Cried Wolf that goes into the research around people saying it's a worship the devil, it's a religion, all these different things attributed to it. I've seen the material on it. Still working on it because y'all got a lot of religious garb. Y'all have oaths. Y'all have prayers. I hear you. It's funny to me. You gotta. We'll get to it. Again, I'm just trying to go in it cold without my prejudices and backgrounds of me saying it's a religion. I'm doing my research to affirm with data that we have available if it is or isn't. Again, I got my own reservations and beliefs personally, but I could be wrong. So that's why I'm looking into it. And I want y'all to go on the journey with me.
Where are we? What is this? Look at this.
But I want to say, if y'all remember, if you see that again, we looking up again, and Sister Davis, we saw it. If we read, go back in this, in a couple slides that I had, if we go back, it talked about the bird and what the bird represents, and how the bird may have the wings that are downward, upward. And the brother that's a Mason here in the comments, Hyperborean, you can kind of affirm based on your view and what you know. If the wings are downward, they're 32 degree or under. If the wings are upward, and Scott is right, they are a 33rd degree Mason. Based on this image, if this is a two-headed bird, I don't know. We can't see the other head, but the wings do look downward. I'm just saying, if he's a Mason and they got the bird on top of him as a memorial. Keep watching.
Where are we? What is this? Look at this plaza. Oh, you didn't miss nothing, brother. We just talking about that. This must be the backside of that building we were looking at. The glass building has to be the backside of the one that has the Masonic temple inside of it, which draws more importance to this square, because if the Masonic temple took that point, everything that flows off of this whole area, which might be we need to see what longitude and latitude this is. That's the homework. What longitude and latitude?
Now, for those that know, he just talked about a few things. So there's a big, tall building downtown that has a Masonic temple within it that he just said. Of course, I want to look into it too. I might Google it. There's a Masonic temple that's supposedly in downtown Boston, Massachusetts, within that building. Again, this is from the 90s that he's going through doing these tours into the city. Also, he said it's connected. It matters because this park or this corridor here is close in proximity to where a Freemason lodge is, a Masonic lodge is. And then he brought up the longitude and latitude. That is a key thing too for those that are into the occult and more esoteric understandings of ley lines and what these specific positions mean. Because some people even that move around in astrology as well as into I don't want to bring in numerology and what the numbers represent and what the ley lines represent in terms of the different in which there are places on the earth, some in the occult spaces would believe, and new age spaces, and into some spiritual groups, you can tap into higher levels during certain times in specific ley line areas if you position yourself at a certain time or in place on the earth in certain areas to do these things. So that's why I think he's bringing up the ley lines, the longitude and latitudes, what the numbers represent for Freemasons, as well as possibly the ley line connection as well. Let me see what this is. The wings up or down represent the jurisdiction, northern and southern district. Okay. So like example, from what we read here in this Scottish Rite book, it talks about the double-headed eagle. And if you see like the last 3 or 4 paragraphs, it says, sentences, it said the upward or downward represents a degree status. So if you're 32 degrees and under, you will have a downward wing. If you're 33, if you have a 33rd degree active member, the wings will be pointed upward. So that's maybe a little, not to say discrepancy, but that's, like I said, that's more context and allegory that we don't know, that they also can represent the northern and southern jurisdictions. So thank you for that, brother. That or sister. You're a brother because you're a Mason, so you're not Eastern Star. But thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Again, this is like, so we're learning. This is for me to kind of look into this a little bit more.
Is that Masonic temple and the names of the streets surrounding it, and then to take and to find an earlier book of pictures of these buildings before the modern buildings were put in. And then if you go into these buildings, somebody has spare time, in most of the lobbies where the guards are, there are little brochures talking about the building. And if you operate an interest, many people are excited when somebody comes in there and wants to know about their building. I've gone to the electrical building in Michigan, all brown brick. They took all the way from Africa to build this building right on the shore of Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, facing Canada. And when we went inside, the place was closed. We told the sister, said, look, we really, she opened up the lights, turned on the rotunda, let us in this other chamber that you can't even get into unless a tour thing is going on. She was excited to show it.
All right, I need to figure this out, and thank you, Sister Davis, for doing this. That's why I'm pausing it and giving commentary. Whatever building he's talking about, I gotta find it because we here in Detroit, so I need to go look into this and do a tour. If people are around in the Detroit area, anytime, let me know. I want to do a tour here. I'm gonna try to reach out to my brother, Unplug him. Shout out to Unplug him. I'd love to do a tour here of the Freemason temple in certain buildings and look into these sites. And for me, I would like to do prayers at these places, just because to showcase, hey, Christians are here, even though we may look into the conspiracies, occult happening in these buildings and all the different things we hear about this stuff. We are taking territory as believers. We just want to pray that whatever is going on in these areas, that God's protection is over us. We rebuke any of the nefarious mean spirits that's active in these areas or regions. Any nefarious means that's happened, we hope the people that are in these things come out. And that's what I like to do. God has laid on my heart to do that. It's been on my heart for years. Just haven't had the energy to do it yet. So I'm working on that. But that's the idea. Maybe in the summertime, if I get a good amount of people, we can take a tour or two to look at a few of these spots here in the city, and then eventually continue to Brother Steve Cole's work. Because I think some of the stuff he was doing, even though he was not a believer, I think in the atmosphere we're in today, when I say atmosphere, I'm just saying the climate. People into conspiracy, they on YouTube, TikTok, watch the conspiracy videos, looking at all this crazy stuff, but don't have a strong Christian foundation to keep them rooted. And that's kind of what Spooky Apologetics is here for. At least I feel drawn to, and God has led me to, is to be a place to where we can look into a lot of these fringe things, and similar to other people, that they look into, but have a Christian root, that we're not going to fall into these things. We are in a safe space in which we can talk about the wild things within the world that's in the conspiracy space, parapsychology, UFOology, all the different things, and we can talk about it in a forum. And I'll have long form content to a lot of deeper research that I'm doing. But the live streams are here to discuss and look into the research you found. And I'm looking to get a Discord as well, to where we could talk about these things, not just on the live stream, but in a community forum. So just continue to pray for the work.
So I believe these same people are waiting in these positions for us. If we knock on their doors, right? We have to let, like say when I went to that Grand Lodge
Oh, the man himself, Elder Phil. How you doing, sir? That's a new one for me. I got to learn the terminology because I'm used to the one for Michigan. I appreciate you, man. Hope family doing good. Praying for you. Glad for safe travels. Hope you settled in, Elder. Praying for you. Love you. Definitely going to connect sometime soon. Let me know. Blessing to have you. Don't stay up late. Get some rest, Elder. I'm gonna keep these late, so just if you can watch, stay with us for a minute. Feel free. Me and Sister Davis, other Freemason brother watching. Appreciate you, Hyperbrain. We here, but I appreciate to have you, Elder.
Louisiana on 333 Charles Street. That little brother in there was proud that after 4 years of working there, somebody finally was interested. I tried to tell my dad, my uncle, they didn't care. So, but he took us down to the chamber, let us take old books they had. And, we got all this on film. I still had these books and binders that we got. So it's very, very valuable.
Before you go on, did you also say that, which is now the Meridian Hotel, used to be the old Federal Reserve
Yes,
Bank?
that Meridian Hotel. Remember, Meridian means midpoint. And let's draw some attention to that Meridian, original Federal Reserve, and there's a plaque there that we should get on record. And where the Masonic Temple sits.
So that is interesting. He says the Meridian Hotel in Boston, Massachusetts used to be the Federal Reserve. I did not know that. Let's look into it really quick. Oh, you're an hour behind. Okay, cool. Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. All right, Meridian. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Hotel, Boston, Mass. Le Meridian. Huh. Oh, it's in Cambridge. Is this the same hotel? Oh, yes, it is. So this is the Meridian Hotel that he's at right now. Okay. Meridian Hotel, Boston, Mass, Federal Reserve. Let's just verify. Is he correct on this? Okay. Boston Uncovered. Let's review this. Sorry, I got the pop-ups coming up. I apologize. All right, let's look at this. So he said the Meridian Hotel, which is in Boston, Massachusetts, very close to the Freemason building, is the former Federal Reserve. So here it says this 104-year-old Federal Reserve Bank is a Boston landmark, and today it's a 5-star hotel that looks like a Roman palace with history spanning over a century. So this building has been over a century. This Boston Bank, this is just from 2026 too. This is new. Boston Bank turned luxury hotel has witnessed many iterations over the years, but it's always served as a place of transported to another world through architecture. Interesting terminology there. Look at to Richard. What's it? So this is the architect that made this. So like me, the way my brain works, I'm going to Google who this guy is. See if he has any ties to any groups, Freemason, any of it. That's just how I move. So I don't want to do that now to hamper the live, but I'm definitely going to keep this saved over here. Let's see who this guy is. I might do it in front of y'all. Never mind. He's an American architect based in Boston, Massachusetts. He's from Boston, Massachusetts. I want to see. Oh, he went to Harvard. Okay. Just looking into some things, learning about him. He sailed to London. Any connections? Now, this is another thing, too. In the conspiracy space, people make connections, connect the dots. You've seen the memes and everything of people looking, have the big wide board. People say that about me. I got the board, the board on the wall, chalkboard, with all the different newspaper clippings connecting different views. That's all in my head, I'll be honest with you. But I have a way to categorize it to where I don't focus solely. I can separate conspiracy from things I can prove. I've worked that way, and that's what I'm hoping this channel can help out with as well, is work on things you can prove with things you can't, and you could just leave it to, that's conspiracy. It is what it is. All right, so let's just go back to the video. But I just wanted to see. So he's right. And I could look into it more. This is just one source. It's from a Boston Uncovered. I'm not sure how legit the site is, but for what I'm seeing, he might be on to something. That this hotel in Boston, very close to the Freemason building, they recorded back in the 90s, was the Federal Reserve Bank here. Now it's a hotel.
That these things had to be something. And this had to be down near the center of something. Whatever it was, that particular period. And this phone bill knows everything faces in this way. And this is a federal building here, correct? This is post office. And the question is, yes, Ben Franklin was the first postmaster. This would be Franklin.
Wait, what? He said Benjamin Franklin was the first postmaster. Hold on.
And this is a federal building here, correct? This is post office. And the question.
So there's a post office downtown very close to where he said the Freemason building is. And also, it used to be the Federal Reserve. Thank you, Sister Davis. Federal Reserve building. So downtown Boston, any Boston people ever watch it, you can verify it. Steve Koke saying this back in the 90s, that the Freemason building, the old Federal Reserve, and the post office were all in the same proximity to this small park here. And I believe in Cambridge. Not sure. I'll double check.
Yes, Ben Franklin was the first postmaster. This would be Franklin.
All right, let me look into that. Benjamin Franklin postmaster. My mom used to work for the post office. No way. What is this? Benjamin Franklin, Postmaster General. Wait, so Benjamin Franklin was the first postmaster for the post office? I never knew this. Benjamin Franklin was the first postmaster for the post office. Didn't y'all know this? No, I'm curious. Did any of y'all know this? I never knew this, personally. Ben Franklin was born in Boston, Massachusetts on January 17th at school. Apprentice. Okay, he started the Boston newspaper, the New England Courant, in 1721. Young, okay, he's ambitious, articles, newspapers, okay, cool, okay. Okay, by 1728, he had his own print shop. Wait, in 7 years? He started a newspaper, and then he had his print shop. Shortly therefore purchased the Pennsylvania Gazette. In 1732, he first published Poor Richard's Almanac, which was widely successful and secure. What source is this, by the way? This is from the About Us. This is not UPS. This is UPS.com. It's not .gov. I know you learn something new every day. I did not know that Benjamin Franklin was the first postmaster. Franklin's postal career began in 1737 when Alexander Spotswood, Deputy Postmaster General of America under the British, appointed Franklin as Postmaster of Philadelphia. So the post office came from Britain to England? Hold on. So the post office we have here in America was based off the post office from England, and the postmaster from Britain, under British rule, appointed Benjamin Franklin, who was a known Freemason. We all know that. Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason. Interesting. So if Benjamin Franklin is born in Massachusetts, he's the first postmaster. And based on Steve Coakley's video, the post office is downtown by the Freemason building across from the Federal Reserve. Interesting. Huh. That's very interesting. Who would have knew? Did y'all know this? I didn't know that. I did not know that. I did not know it. Didn't know it. Okay.
And this is a federal building here, correct? This is post
Sister Davis, it looked like I do. I gotta get back to it. I'm learning something just from the one video. I got so many slides in this thing, man. Sister, I gotta get back to it. But that's why y'all with me. We were doing on this journey together.
Like about 1920, 1930. If you look up, you see those bundle of sticks up there on the corner. Now, many times in our community, they call that feces, or they try to deal with fascism. But I'm much more interested in the story that the Masonic guy told me, Zondergelder, at the House of the Mother Supreme, a little Masonic tale about first there was one Mason, and you could really grab him in your hand if he was like a stick, and you could break him. Then there became 3 or 4 Masons, and though they could be broken, it was hard to break them. But when it became bunches of Masons, and they bound and binded themselves together, they could never be broken.
Now that is interesting. If he's telling this story, and that there are a story that he was told by a Mason, that those bundles that he sees right here, in the right there. Those bundles that he sees at the top of this building, which he said he's possible that this could have been the original post office location, which again, found out Benjamin Franklin was the first postmaster in America. And we're in Boston watching this video in Boston, Massachusetts. And he has this story about the bundles of Masons being bound together. They'll be unbreakable. And that's on top of an old building next to a Freemason hall. That is interesting. I'm sorry. That is interesting to me, and where that connection goes to. But we got to verify and look into it a little bit more. Not doing it now, but let's keep watching. Let's keep listening. This is fun.
A stick and you could break them. Then there became 3 or 4 Masons, and though they could be broken, it was hard to break them. But when it became bunches of Masons, and they bound and binded themselves together, they could never be broken.
Oh, the thing in the corner that looks like a bundle of sticks.
Bundle of sticks. You see it on the fire department with a hatchet on it.
You know what else I saw was that exactly Lincoln.
Now y'all see those birds on top too? Man, this is deep, man. Again, we just read about the double-headed eagle. Freemason area. This seemed like all the Freemason imagery. I'm assuming here. I'm with y'all. This is the first time I've seen this video. I'm assuming here. Mind the climate that we in. We seeing the Epstein files being dropped monthly. A lot of stuff's coming out. I got a video I'm going to drop showcasing the connection of what Steve Koke was talking about way back in the 90s. Is being revealed now through the Epstein files. That's coming soon. But this is just dealing with some of the research that I'm doing for the video. It's not going to be a live stream. It's going to be edited, cut up, hoping to look nice.
Sitting on that bench right at the pillar, his hands up.
All right. There we go. I'm sorry. I just want to put you wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand the number you put down there. You have to travel.
Right at the Lincoln Memorial, where he's sitting, where his hands are, they have those same sticks.
Yeah. They're very... And the Masonic, like I say, that's one of the tales they tell you. Because they want you to pick up on something they're saying.
The eagles that are facing each other.
Well, those are modern day guardian animals, what we call adaptations of the guardian animal.
So that's interesting, because I've seen a video of Steve Koke talks about the guardian Sphinx that's connected to the Boule. And if you read a lot of the Boule writings about what the Sphinx represents, some talk about the griffin as well, but the Sphinx, how it is putting his hand over the vase, and that's talking about the Boule. We're not gonna get into the Boule today. But he's saying the guardian images or apparitions, or I forgot the term he just used, speaking into them. That's why it's interesting, because if the ego is a guardian being or image used to represent something in Freemasonry, as we see a little bit discussed here. Again, this is just from the small research we've done into this one article, this one book. That's like a pamphlet booklet. it says that the Roman Empire, they got this image from the Roman Empire. And it represents like different mythologies. And the second head and the different heads represent the spiritual powers of the Byzantine Empire that ruled the East and the West. Now, that will be interesting to see the connection of the double-headed eagle being connected to the Roman Empire and the East and West control, as we know in Freemasonry, what the East represents and being a traveling man moving from the East to the West, or moving from the West to East. I forgot the actual terminology. Again, that's why I'm going through the research again with y'all. Seeing that this was represented, I could see the imagery, why it was used. But like Steve Coakley talking about the guardian beings, the Sphinx, the double-headed eagle, these may be represented and protectors of the information. That's just what I'm saying. But we look into some of the research, and again, this is just one booklet. It slightly covers it, not in grave detail. But like you see here, it said this image goes back to even Mesopotamia. And as we see with the Sphinx, that goes back into Egypt. A lot of these things go way back. It was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's get back to the video.
Course, how many, which way they face, are all symbolic, but that probably leads to that. And the building, if you look carefully, almost looks like.
Now I'm gonna go back. Did y'all see that? Let me see. You see how this is how I see it. Now, as a Christian, again, I'm just going to spookiness with y'all. I'm rooting ground. I ain't going nowhere. I'm in Christ. I'm a Christian. I'm a saint with y'all. We all believers. Just watching this. We just talked about the double-headed eagle. These eagles are looking at each other just from the building. Not saying this represents the double-headed eagle, but it is very interesting. And we just read, just from this one source, we can read more. It represents the East and the West. The heads. Now, if you look at the image, if you can see it slightly on the booklet at the cover, the heads will be pointing in different directions as opposed to what we see with Steve Coakley. But that could be for other reasons. Because the left-hand bird is looking to the left and then the right is looking to the right. But here in the building, they're looking in opposite directions. That could mean something too. Not sure. But I just thought it was interesting that the birds are looking in different directions. But they're actually looking at each other here. Find it interesting.
And of course, how many, which way they face, are all symbolic, but that probably leads to that. And the building, if you look carefully, almost looks like it was built in two different periods. Look at the older brick inside and the newer brick on the outside, refortifying what might have been the original building. Because I can't imagine them going to two stones on one building. This front part looks more modern. And modern might be 1950 or 1948 or something, compared to that other one looks more like the Board of Trade building in Chicago, which sits at the center of LaSalle Street, the financial district.
Unless one side has a certain information, that's why it's no different.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. That could be true. What are we talking about? What was the saying?
John Warner.
What about it? He's a what?
Mason.
And what city?
Philly.
And how'd you know about it? Tell them how you learned about it.
I know Philly.
And so what about Warner Baker?
He must have been one of them Masons.
One of them found him, and it's right across from what?
Don't answer me.
City Hall and the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And it's a department store, but it's Masonic still. Like Macy's were Masons, the David Hudson people were Masons. All these.
Wait a second. Hold on. Who did he say was Masons?
Right. And it's a department store, but it's Masonic still. Like Macy's were Masons, the David Hudson people were Masons. All these department store people also were Masonic.
Hold on. Now the people that own Macy's were Masons? Hold on. Macy's founders. Okay. Roland Housey Macy was an American businessman who was a founder of the department store chain Macy's. I doubt it says anything about being a Freemason here. No, I knew it. Let's do this real quick. Yeah, did you know, Sister Davis? I didn't know the founder of Masons was a Mason. And he said a lot of these department folks was, Lord have mercy. That says Roland Housey Macy, right? Founder of Macy's. What this say? Grand Lodge of British Columbia and Yukon. Roland Macy, founder of department store chain R.H. Macy and Company. Roland Housey Macy, Sr., was the fourth of 6 children born to a Quaker family. Where at? In Massachusetts. Wow. Between 1843 and 1855, Macy opened 4 retail Yo, he's a Mason. This is great. So he's really a Mason. So all these folks was Mason? Member, 1852. So he was November 9th. He became a Mason. His lodge was in Massachusetts as well. Wow. I'm gonna have to look at the dude. So here in Detroit, there was a guy similar to Macy, Hudson, the guy that created the department store Hudson here in Detroit. It was very big. It's not here anymore. I'm curious to see if he was. That's another thing to go. That's another rabbit hole to look down and see if he was a Mason. Man, I never knew this. Okay. Steve, I'm telling you, Steve Coker was a bad man, even though he wasn't a Christian. When it comes to this conspiracy, Freemason stuff, brother was bad.
Very much so. Rosenwald, big time.
Rosenwald? Who's Rosenwald? I don't know who that is.
International Order of B'nai B'rith. One of the founding.
B'nai B'rith. That's the, I think B'nai B'rith is the Jewish secret society, so to speak, brotherhood. And from my understanding, the B'nai B'rith, the Jewish secret society, or secret fraternal order, was the founders of the ADL, from my understanding. ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. So just think about that in a weird way. The Jewish secret society fraternal order that was created first, which was based, some say, off Freemasonry, so to speak, for the Jews. They then, and it's funny because some say that the Freemasonry is built off Kabbalistic Jewish teachings, which is crazy to think about. But the B'nai B'rith was based off Freemasonry. They then create the ADL, in which many of the anti-Semitic and the attacks that come against Jewish people is controlled by. I think it's interesting.
Financiers of the ADL come out of Illinois, 1913.
Wow, he just went all that off the dome.
Very much so. Rosenwald, big time. International Order of B'nai B'rith. One of the founding financiers of the ADL come out of Illinois, 1913. And they founded that after the Jewish people, white people of the Jewish religion, had a guy hung.
My husband always says learning things comes from not knowing. I agree. That's the only way you will know. If you don't know, you got to put the work in, though. Being humble, admitting you don't know. Look at you. You're absolutely correct, Sister Davis.
On the evidence of a black man. That was the first time ever that any white person had ever been convicted on the word of a black person. So in fear of this dude Frank being hung by the word of a black man, they went and formed an organization to never let one black offer their ass up for hanging.
Sorry for the language. Sorry for the language. And sorry for the messed up edit here. I gotta go back. I messed up. There it is.
White people of the Jewish. So in fear of this dude Frank being hung by the Shriners, I believe this is something to do with Shriners. If we looked up.
Oh, now you're talking about the Shriners again.
Angel, G-E-L-L.
Thorndike Angel.
I bet you he might be a Shriner. I bet you he'd be a Shriner.
Thorndike. Oh, so the guy we looked at earlier. So I believe it is him. Let's see. Is he a Shriner? Don't tell me Shriners Hospital. Don't tell me Shriners Hospital. He was a Baptist minister? Oh, they got the historical marker, so where he's actually at. So what I think where Steve Coakley is at, they're talking about, and I don't know what this is. It may not be anything. Boston Society, Humane Society, representative, or okay. Not saying much. It was dedicated to his children. Okay, cool. Not saying much. Let me look at this real quick. I'm just curious because if he is a Mason, then we got, I mean, it seems like everybody a Mason. I don't know, Steve. I don't see no connection just from a quick little Google search. I can chat GPT it too, but we looked at him earlier, so I will leave him alone.
A circle within a circle. Yes.
There's an urn on that building.
Oh yeah, that building there has got a good, some gold enhanced archway.
He's up a little longer.
Look at that. That's the post office. Post Office Square. Again, we just found out. Ben Franklin, first post office of America. First postmaster of America. But he just said circle within a circle. Some people say that that's talking about like the secret societies, Illuminati. There's a circle of a framework of specific elected brethren. Maybe no, but there's a closer knitted circle of selected chosen ones or bloodline official people. Circle within a circle. That's speaking to like secret societies and such and bloodline. But we can go into that a little bit more as well.
Mayor Kevin H. White, Chairman, City Councilor Christopher A. Ionella, City Treasurer Lowell I.L. Of the generous request of Edward Ingersoll Brown, 1883-1901.
All right, Kevin H. White, Chairman of the City Council. All right, we got to Google. Mayor Kevin. I just want to see. Kevin H. White. Is this man a Freemason? I'm just curious. If he is, I don't see no information, Steve. I don't know. Maybe it's hidden. I don't see nothing. All right.
One enough money to beautify public places.
That Ingersoll was a famous family. That was probably why they left Ingersoll in that nation in the three-word nation. But Ingersoll always been on the trilateral, always Ingersoll family. Robert Ingersoll ran the big.
All right, you heard him. I just went back. He said he talked about the Trilateral Commission. That's I think a governmental body that was created. I forgot who created the Trilateral Commission. I don't think it's the Rhodes. I don't think Cecil Rhodes and Rockefeller did, but I know they've been associated with it. But Trilateral Commission, that's one we will go through. The Committee of 300, the Bilderbergers, the Illuminati. You see, we're going through the Freemasons right now. There's various different secret society and groups that we will cover as we go through these lives, as well as some content that'll be put out about them, where the myths and things that we can prove, what is still conspiracy and lure around them. And as a Christian, what do you do with this information? We're going to walk through it.
Ingersoll always been on the trilateral, always Ingersoll family. Robert Ingersoll was ambassador to Japan. There you go, yeah.
If you look inside of the building, it's obviously trying to recreate some sort of history. Being an exchange building, I gotta step up, man. Y'all in a bad position. In cooperation with the Masonic American layout. Notice the circle within the circles laid into the.
So that's what he's saying. So the circle within a circle. So he's saying within the same area. So this is deep. Within the same area that he has the Freemason building, the post office by the first postmaster who was a Freemason. You got the old Federal Reserve Bank. Now you have images in the cement and architecture that have the circle within the circle, which he would say, and others would say, that is a call card to those that are in the know, that are initiated the circle in the circle. So this is their area. This is their domain. And they created all of this, so to speak.
Square. Now this is the exchange building. Notice this older building that building alive.
That is interesting. So he's saying this is the first Masonic building built in Boston. So let's look at first Masonic building in Boston. Let's see. Oh, so this is it. All right, here we go. The first Masonic district in Massachusetts. Do they have any images about? Let's see. Gallery. Got any outdoor images? All right, these are the Freemason brothers. Okay. This is some Freemason brother. You see the garb and the apron? I'm just curious to see, do they have any images of the building? And some quick things. Now, why to become a member? I don't want to really know too much about that. I'm trying to learn about the building. They may not have much here. I'm going to try one more. Let's do images real quick and we get back to the video. Okay. So I'm guessing this is what it was. That's what it looked like. So it looks like it's on that corner that Steve Coakley is on. I'm guessing this is the Freemason building, how it used to look. But then when we go to Steve Coakley's video, he's talking about they built around this building and kept it alive and built this glass structure of this more modern building around this Freemason building. But let's verify. Let's keep watching.
And it's got to be some chambers underground as well as above ground that are related to maintaining that building.
Now he's saying it's possible to have some underground chambers. And now that's something too. I would love to learn about the underground chambers, what they're for. I know with Detroit having the largest one and never shut it down in terms of destroying it up, knocking it down. It's too big. It's too historic. I doubt they ever destroy it. I'm curious to see what's in other buildings, other Masonic temples throughout the world, without the United States. What's in those other chambers? What are they doing down there? I mean, with Epstein Island, what we learned about what's going on over there, I'm not saying all the Masons are crazy doing all that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying with the secrecy around it, underground chambers, like Steve Coakley is showing here, it does make me just curious. Hey, why would you build around this building? Why is it so important? Just because it's a historical building? Fine. But as he mentioned, is there things that you need in this building to keep controlled and centralized so you don't knock it down? I don't know.
Now, why it faces what street it's on, State Street? What's the center street here? The center street, which is like north and south, or where the zero numbers go. Come on now, where's the meridian at?
It'll be Tremont, I think, wouldn't it?
Tremont runs through Washington runs
How do you know what's east and west?
Washington runs all the way through though.
Washington. You don't have no. How do you get the numbers? The number is 15. Somewhere the number has to. And it might be State Street. But if you just on that side, it might be do something.
That's the mail.
No, but it's homework then. State Street is the center line in Chicago. And State Street is Randolph, Washington, Monroe, Jefferson, Adams, etc. But side of State Street starts each side, the numbers go from.
Now, I do find it interesting how he's asking them specific information about the streets, because he's saying what is the numbers or the importance of the numbers, and I guess the names would affirm a deeper rooted conspiracy or control by the Masons. Because if you look up, if the main street that is connected to this street, what are the main center parts connected to it? If it's a Mason, if it's like Franklin Street, Ben Franklin Road, it would just affirm like this is a Freemason area ran by Freemasons. The numbers are connected. Are the numbers in threes? Are the numbers in sevens? Or whatever the numbers are associated with, he can showcase a numerological connection to the Masons with the addresses. I'm sure, of course, people talk about zip codes, but the addresses, also the street names, you can see a deeper connection that he would make. Now, can we affirm this? I don't know. But these are the connections he's making in real time from the information he has about the Masons and how they move. I'm not going to be on probably another like 10, 15 minutes. We're going to jump off for today.
Right off that divide line. And this street, if this is 15, see, we were looking at High Street, which is around the corner. Skull and Bones is on 322 High Street. So we tried.
Hold on. I did not know that. Hold on. We might see a little later. Skull and Bones. Y'all know what Skull and Bones is? I have not even tapped into Skull and Bones research yet. I've been mainly on Boule, Freemasons, Illuminati stuff. Skull and Bones, I think that is the secret society or secret group at Yale University. I think George W. Bush is a part of it, and a few other known presidents are a part of Skull and Bones. But listen to what he's saying about Skull and Bones in terms of, because people know Boston. Boston has Harvard, was it Carnegie Mellon, Cornell. There's so many universities in MIT. Sister Davis. So Skull and Bones is another secret society too that a lot of presidents are associated with. But he's speaking to what street that Skull and Bones is connected to. But then also here, he's trying to make a connection here. I think High Street, he just mentioned. I just want to hear what he said again.
Off of this side of the Center Street, the Dan Ryan Expressway. Go up the center, right off that divide line. And this street, if this is 15, see, we were looking at High Street, which is around the corner. Skull and Bones is on 322 High Street. So we.
Now notice 322 High Street. If you go to Skull and Bones, yes, Sister Davis Poison. I'm with you. I'm trying not to be mean, but I'm with you. 322 Skull and Bones. You see, Koki just said Skull and Bones is on 322 High Street. If you see a lot of the images here, 322, that's the number associated with Skull and Bones. This is Skull and Bones. We'll get to this information sometime soon. 322, but that's crazy though. 322 High Street is where Skull and Bones is actually located, and this is their logo, Skull and Crossbones.
Tried to see what's on 322 High Street, and so there was a center line, and on one side, when we saw 90-something high, it went down to 10-something high, which meant that corner had to be the center street, because on the other side would start numbers. Go scoot up, brother. I got scoot up. That would start numbers going higher again. So we got to see what's on 322 High Street in both directions. But there's got to be some center street here. There's got to be a street that makes me some maps to delineate. Well, it's going to tell us, we look at the numbers, because if this is 15 and that's 20, I mean, it's got to be odd. 17, right? Now, where's the Capitol building from here? Which way? We got to look at that. That's very significant.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
Listen, y'all, look, we gotta stay together. Look, our sister, going out of this way to help her.
That's that Freemason building again. That's been reappropriated. That's the circles. That's all around it. That's crazy that those things are there. Scientology. Now, Scientology is a little bit different, Sister Davis. Scientology, some people say it's a religion or it's just a group of people that came together around. I forgot who's the founder. Is it L. Ron Hubbard? I'm not sure. Who created Scientology? You see the L. Ron or Jack Parsons? I forgot which one. I think it's. But Scientology is like a belief that a lot of people hold. Is L. Ron Hubbard Jack Parsons? L. Ron Hubbard, yeah, so I was right. So L. Ron Hubbard, who was a known occultist, into a lot of wild things, the Babylon working, all this other stuff. L. Ron Hubbard, I got a lot of information on him with the occult. That's another video that we'll get into. But he is the founder of Scientology. Cheap the Occult, looked into Aleister Crowley as well, he did. But they're focused more on like the Palladians, Astar Command, all this other wild stuff that they're into. Some say it's deep in the occult, but a lot of people believe it, and some people like in Hollywood ascribe to it. I would not say it's Freemasonry, but I will say Scientology A lot of their buildings are strategically placed here in Detroit. We're the Scientology building, smack dab in the center of Detroit, across, I think it's across from City Hall and across from the Spirit of Detroit. And that's something we want to go to as well and talk about. Why do, like, at least for my city, why is it called the Spirit of Detroit? We're going to look at the video and footage of the Spirit of Detroit and what that represents, even when the Spirit of Detroit was created. And I would like to go talk to people that about the Spirit of Detroit and what the symbolism of it is. And I have my own beliefs, but again, I want to do the research first. And as a believer, I can put my presuppositions on it. Spirit of Detroit means a demon that's over the spirit, over Detroit. That's why Detroit has so much perilous, terrible issues since it's been its inception. Humans are Elderfield. Humans are immoral beings and can level up based on the level you want to pay for. I agree, Elder. I agree. Immortal beings and can level. That's a problem. And that's one thing too. And I think that's where I think like L. Ron Hubbard and like Jack Parsons, a lot of things they were looking into, what like through the Babylon working is trying to level up, so to speak, and looking into things and rituals that they were doing. And that's why a lot of the lure around Scientology and their beliefs with the Palladians and the Astar Command and what they were trying to do and the wars that come with the aliens, all this stuff was connected to who we are as people. That's very interesting. We definitely get to Scientology. That's going to take a few lives, and that's going to take a couple edited videos, and then we do some live streams afterwards to review the information. Yes, sir. That is the basic. You're right, Elder Phil. You are right.
This is the side of the building that's connected to the exchange building that was the site of the early Masonic, which is on the plaque up ahead, which we'll get to in a second. This plaque on the corner of, help me somebody, where are we at? Congress and State. Congress and State, there's a plaque. It says, near this site was the first house in Boston of John Winthrop.
Okay. He said this, he said, John Winthrop. Near this site was the house of the first house in Boston, John Winthrop. John Winthrop was an English Puritan lawyer and leading figure in the founding of Boston, Massachusetts Bay, the second major settlement in New England following Plymouth Colony. So he's one of the founders of Boston. And he was a Lord Manor. So he was trained in law and became Lord of the Manor in England. So he came over here on the ships. Okay, so he had one of the first houses in Boston.
Born 1588, died 1649, governor of Massachusetts for 12 years. First elected October 20th, 1629. See, that's before 1776, notice. Who was president when he was governor? That's just another sidebar question. Everybody said George Washington was first. Who was, no, you can't have no governor unless you looked at something else. First elected October 20th, 1629, brought the charter from England.
Brought the charter from England. So this is what affirmed New England here in the colonies.
June 12, 1630. So he was running the English state.
But didn't he govern an English colony?
That's what I'm saying. He must have governed the English state. This tablet was placed by the city of Boston in 1930.
So the president was, the president was the king of the queen of England. Because we were still colonies.
And that charter is important. You can't start something unless you get something from somebody who got it already.
My sense.
Let me see real quick. Was he a Mason? Because the Masons weren't around at this time. Order. Is he part of any chivalric orders? And that's another thing we're going to get into too. The chivalric order. I'm sorry, I'm a bad speller. Was he in any chivalric orders? So those are like the old knights orders from the Crusades. I just want to see, was he in any? I probably can't find it from this quick search. No, he wasn't. Okay, I'm probably not gonna find it right now. But the reason I'm asking is because as we look into a lot of these conspiracies and the different views and the different, this is one of the other books we're gonna get into as well, called Symbols of Freemasonry. The reason I'm asking is because we might look into how the chivalric orders had laid a precedent, as well as Kabbalah for some and other things for Freemasonry. And as a Christian, if we look into what the Kabbalah is, how this is connected to Jewish mythology or mysticism, and how that is steeped within Freemasonry, it can really help us understand how people that move within Kabbalah, how they utilize the lure of the Bible to affirm their beliefs through mysticism. How do we understand that? Mysticism is big. A lot of people look into mysticism in the New Age, as well as in occultism, and use Kabbalah as well. So knowing these things, we have to have some type of at least frame of reference. If you hear about these on TikTok or see them on social media, how do we move forward with it? So let's understand some of it as a Christian, which looking and led by the Holy Spirit to look into these things and have safeguards to prevent us from falling into these things, as well as allowing others that either are interested in it and to fall deeper into it. Give me about probably 2 more minutes, then we're going to check out.
What now? Say it out loud.
16, no, because I said 1630. Is it James or Elizabeth that was in charge of this one at the time? No, what is it?
Watch out behind you.
So we need to establish who was king or queen allegedly at that time.
So that's interesting, and I feel bad. Just think about this, guys. Like right now, they all going off the dome right now. But in the day age we are in, I could just Google who was the king in 1630. All right. Who was the king and queen of England? And they couldn't do this. They had smartphones then in 1630. Charles II. Oh, Charles I. In 1630, the king of England was Charles I. Charles I, who reigned until executed in 1649. His queen consort, Henrietta Maria, was married to Charles I and played a significant role in his reign. Okay, so he was executed. So that's something that we can look into and help. Like I said, but this is a different time. So they couldn't really know that at that time. But who was King Charles? Like, I'm going to look into this. It's something y'all can do too. And this is like one of my little conspiracies. So King Charles I. I'm going to look. I know, you know that we got a King Charles III right there. But we're King Charles I of England, Order of the Garter. Does he have any images? Was he part of Order of the Garter? Wow. King Charles I. So the Order of the Garter is the chivalric order based in England that is rooted in, you know, the orders that's connected back to the Crusades. I have my own conspiracy on what the Order of the Garter is and understanding there. But King Charles I was a significant figure in the Order of the Garter. He was elected as the companion of the order in 1638. A decision that was a part of his efforts to instill in his son, Charles II, the ideals of chivalry and manly values. Charles I's letter to his son, Prince Charles, emphasized the importance of the order for his son's education and royal lineage. The Order of the Garter, with its emphasis on courage, mortal achievement, and noble companionship, was central to Charles I's understanding of the relationship with nobles. Key mention here, nobles, and the values of his kingship. So Order of the Garter, if you ever seen them, they wear this garb. I have pictures of this, but this is Order of the Garter. This is King Charles today. He was a prince at this time. But this is King Charles. Oh no, he was a prince. I forgot the title. But this is the garb that they wear. And this is a chivalric order that is based around the royal family, and this has been handed down since the 12th century, I believe. I have a view that the Order of Garter has connection to the Masons and others. But that's just my personal view that I'm still working through to see if I can affirm it with true understanding. That's my conspiratorial mind. But the Order of the Garter, it just triggered my thought, is because if they're looking for with Steve Coakley back in the 90s, who was the king and queen, the king and queen was King Charles I here, and knowing he was a prominent member, the companion of the Order of the Garter. So he was, for some people, brotherhood, and he was at least influencing or in control of England at this time, thus having influence here in America. And John Winthrop had to get the charter from over there, from one of the prevailing members of the chivalric order, the Order of the Garter.
For 12 years. First elected October 20th, 1620. To the walls, all the way across. Bundle of sticks over and painted over.
All right, actually, this is a good place to stop. So I appreciate y'all. We're going to get back to it. We may not hit Steve Coakley specifically next time, but I'm thinking we will. We're going to get back into some of the symbols around Freemasonry. Hopefully, before I go live again, I will have a few videos posted, at least one of Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Coakley looking into the connections. A few people have made comments. Very well known YouTuber that made some comments. I think will shed some light around some of the things that were covered with the Epstein files, have been covered in the conscious community space and before it. You'll be very surprised of the things I found just in the light research I've done into Brother Steve Coakley and some of the connections we can make as Christians, seeing the Epstein files, understanding the Epstein files, how Steve Coakley had looked into this with the Boule, Freemasonry years ago. As a Christian, when we heard this information, how did we ingest it? Did we just listen to it and let it go? As a young believer, I was heavily influenced by it. But again, I'm looking into it again, being older, having more skill set, tools, and experience, and walking with God more. It is going to be helpful to look into this information again with the climate that we're in today. So again, to welcome me on this journey right now, going into it as a believer. If you guys have issues, I have some good resources to look into for answers and challenges that people come and say, why can't you be a Freemason and be a Christian? Or should you be one? And look into the occult, why you shouldn't dabble in the occult and the New Age. I have a lot of information we can look into. And also follow me on a journey of research around this and building stronger positions to challenge those that have been looking into the occult, looking into the New Age movement, looking into heavy conspiracies that they cannot break free of. Help me help them. And also, if you have any questions, pray God's strength for me through this endeavor. Continue to pray for my family. But all those, I appreciate you all. Let's end in prayer. Father God, thank you for all those that watch this live today, Lord. Continue to bless those that are on this live and will watch this live. Lord, encourage them, protect them, Lord, right now, whatever you may have for them in their lives right now. Touch and agree right now that you will help them in those needs. And anybody that's looking into these things, give them protection right now, God. Let them grow stronger in your word, stronger understanding, Father. Increase them right now, God, but also lead them, Lord, that they may be a helper for those that may not fall into the wiles of New Age movement and the occultism and all the other wiles of the enemy right now, Lord. Let them be a research and use me, Lord, as a vessel to help those that may be out there that may be interested in these things, and do not let them fall into it. Let them return to you, Lord. Connection with you, Father, as new converts right now. In all things we pray right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Appreciate y'all. Grace and peace. See you all.